Hello all. Let's see. Okay, well, welcome. I am Lauren, and this is the official Lauren Brown channel. If you stuck around and are here right now, thank you very much for your presence. And do like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Today is a chit-chat, hangout kind of day. So um, I'm probably just going to bring up a lot of random things that come to mind. And by a lot, I mean, I have no idea. And yeah, it's alive. That's what makes everything more exciting, isn't it? Um, why is this so far away? 1 second, y'all. Just I'm trying to figure out why this screen is like 10 yards from my face. Okay. Um, yeah. So, random news finally took down the last of my. Sorry for the noise. This fuzz is like right on the mic. Finally took down the last of my Christmas decorations. Technically, I had taken them down, but I hadn't packed them, so they are all packed up now. And yeah, so that's a thing. That's a thing that was done and accomplished. Um, gosh, I really do not like this keyboard, like at all. Hold on, y'all. Thank you. Let's see. Things that I thought were interesting. Oh, let me make sure that. Wow. Wow, this keyboard is way too dark. Okay. Like I said, this is not my favorite computer, but I am very grateful to have one. Okay. Yeah, so finally took the last down and they are all stored neatly. Let's see. There was stuff from last week that I didn't mention um, that I thought were cool. So I'll bring them up now. And I'm just glad this is a bit of Sussex content for anyone who is watching um, and cares about that particular brand of, whoa, this is making way too much noise. Was this? Y'all. All right, we're switching it. We're switching locations. This is going to go on a hard surface. This is why it's no fun borrowing other people's stuff, because they take care of things differently than you would. This should have been chilling. There's no reason for it to run this hard. Why is it running this hard? What the heck is open? Thank you for your patience. It's like, yeah, how about no? How about we close all that? What the heck? All right, got it. Yeah, these are just doing too much. Okay. It's still hot, but it'll calm itself. Okay. So I have not checked to see. John Jenkins, I do see your comment. You say hello and blessings also to all squatties globally. That's awesome. Thank you for your reach out and hello to you. Yeah, so the thing that I liked, the bit of news that I liked is is that the apparently from last year, but it was I saw this from Duchess of Success. It was agreed by the state of New York that that car chase was indeed dangerous the whole time. And I think that that's wonderful because it was weird that it was so doubted when very, like, it is very not normal to have that kind of situation in a place as crowded as New York, to the point where there's going to be congestion, pricing in a, what is it, a tax on cars driving through the city at certain times of day. That's, I don't remember when that's getting levied, but like that's a thing. So, you know, the last thing that should be normal is, you know, something happening okay, yeah, happening to people just going about their business. Okay, all right, laptop, calm down. Hmm. I don't know if any of you have like really great audio, but if you can hear it, this thing is like doing the equivalent of heavy breathing after like some cardio. It's kind of too much. But let's see. Which is not normal for it. So something tells me it was not shut down properly by its previous owner, so it didn't have time to do all the fun stuff that, like, kind of what we do when we sleep. Um, our brain becomes more efficient with everything that we like learned or took in that day. But I am not a neuroscientist, nor a neurologist, nor am I a teacher of brain science. So I will let someone else give you more details on that. I do have some interesting questions though, so I'll also bring those up. But I'm glad that there is at least some understanding that, like, being hunted by people just for your photo is, I mean, there are limits. There are limits. Public interest is a thing, yes, but there are literally safety limits. So glad to hear about that. And that's pretty much all I have to say on that front. I am, just glad to see that people are going out and exercising their voting rights. And just remember that if you're a human being who loves women or is a woman or can be affected by things like pregnancy or lack thereof, please do consider the well-being and welfare of your fellow women, and the fact that everyone should, and people with uteruses, that people should probably get to choose whether or not what you want them to do. I mean, that's none of our business what people do, right? But they should probably get to choose. So I think that's a good thing. That's a thing that people have been talking about. Okay. Y'all, I'm just gathering up these questions to make sure that when I ask them, it's Dina Cardo. Sorry, I want to make sure I say your name right. Dina Cardoso. Hello, good evening. Glad to see you. Just so that you know, this is like a random chat. It's pretty late. And we are gonna kind of talk about random philosophical questions, because what else would you do late at night? It's from a list. I do not want to plagiarize, so I'm gonna try and find the website. I just exited out of it. Ooh, that's so cute. Philo. Okay, let's see. How has your week been, by the way? Please do comment and let me know. I'm always curious. What has been interesting for you? What are you up to? What are you excited about? What are you, like, anything get your goat this week? Good or bad? Comment, let me know. Comment and talk to each other, let each other know. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. It's a site called weareteachers.com. So thank you to the author of this article, or this list anyway, listicle, Jean or Jeanne Croteau. I don't know how to pronounce your name quite right, but are you Haitian? Are you African? I'm not sure. It looks like Jeanne Koto. But yeah, so thank you. Let me see if I can copy paste this because you might want to ask these questions randomly sometime. Oh no, not like that. Girl. All right, but you got the information. Sorry, I'm just not gonna. It's. There's too much going on, so let's not do that. What is happening? Then to five. Hi, what's up? Thank you for being here. Guys, do you remember to like? Guys, gals, dolls. Remember to like the video. And yeah, so some of these questions are absolutely nonsense in a lighthearted way. So let's go. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? And I pose that question to all of you. And today, today, uh, if the question is, what is Lauren taking a sip of? It is basil lemonade, and it's delicious. It's quenchy, and it's not as, I guess, herbal as basil or basil, depending on where you are in the world, as the name makes it sound. It's delicious. Mm-hmm. Chicken or the egg? Um, I mean, my question is, which do you eat first, the chicken or the egg? And if you're a vegan, the answer is neither. And if you are an absolute carnivore, the answer is both together. And if you're, I think, just the average person, it's egg likely because breakfast. All right, question number two. If you'd been, and also do comment your own. You can comment now, you can comment later. You can just think about it. Just be like, what do I know? I think I don't know. Question number two. If you'd been given a different name, would you be a different person? Ooh. What do you think? Would you be a different person if you'd been given a different name? That gets into so many different discussions. Oh, there you go. Then to five, I think you're asking me the question as opposed to stating the statement. Um, have I ever been to Europe? Yes, I have. Yeah, there's your answer. Hi, Lorna. Greetings. Glad to have you here, and thank you for your comment. Yeah, the question is, if you had been given a different name, would you be a different person? And I've got my answer, but I'm just wondering what. Yeah. Okay, Lorna, you're hot on it. I love that. Always love that. Can we just take a moment and give a hand clap to Lorna for being one of the most dedicated live viewers? Thank you. All right. You say no, it's not your name, it's your life experience. That's a cool take. It's your life experience. So like, okay. So you're saying irrespective of things like what you look like if all things were equal, you know, made equal, and it was just the name, you think the experience is the thing that makes someone who they are. That's a good point. Yeah. Are there any other thoughts? There's a few of you out here, so feel free to respond. Lorna, thank you for your response, and I will respond to it in a bit. But I'm gonna drink some lemonade and give people time to think about it and have feelings and emotions, and then turn those into sounds and sentences. Whoa! I don't know what that was. Something totally unrelated to you that I'm like saying out loud. All right, let's see. Let's see. Okay. Time. think about it. And those of you in the future who may or may not be, I mean, whatever, commenting, um, yeah, feel free to do so. Okay. Okay, y'all. Let me get this music down a little bit. Okay. Hi, Jason and Gina. What's up? Thanks for being here. I don't know if that's a good night, like you showed up and you left. I don't know if that's a good night, like good evening, but good evening to you. It's nice to see you. It's been a minute. So, which is funny because like we'll text even when it's been a minute via this platform. So, um, hey. And the question has been, and yeah, there are no slides today. That was partially a choice just to see what the experience would be like. But the question is, of course, if you were given a name other than the one that you have, would you be a different person? So Lorna had given us the very wonderful response of, no, it's not your name, it's your life experiences. And Jason and Gina, I do see you. You say nice to see you too. Good to be seen. Good to be seen. Hello, Emerald, Derek. Good evening to you. Nice to see you. My response is that I do think that we would be slightly different. And part of it is that I think, you know how your life habits change your physiology? So, like, let's say if you play a specific instrument, maybe like you play the piano, your fingers usually have you know, the muscles in your hand are a little different. If you play, tennis or a sport that involves a particular motion to a greater degree, joints on your dominant side might experience a different level of tension to your other side unless you're like really good at balancing out how much you really use both halves of your body, like a yogi or something, you know. I think in the same way, our names, like the way we say them, I think the way people react to them, I think they actually start to affect how. That is a low flying plane. Wow. Um, but yeah, I think in subtle ways, those small things affect us. Maybe that's a bit butterfly effectish. Like, you know, if a butterfly flaps its wings at a certain time or doesn't, does that, you know, do or don't result in some kind of change in the universe? But, you know, I think small things, and the way, think of it like this. So like, you know, if you have been having, let's say there was a small high pitched noise that had been going on, high pitch, but like you can hear it, that's been going on for the last 8 to 12 hours, wherever you've been, right? Let's say it's construction. And while it's going on, you don't really notice it. It doesn't really affect anything. But when it stops, you notice that your body relaxes and you realize, like, oh yeah, there was a really annoying sound that was going on for like hours. I feel like our names have a certain way that they key into us, that it's kind of similar. Like, if my name was Simone, I might be me, just as you see. But I also think there's a high probability that, uh, thank you, Jason and Gina, for reminding everyone to not just touch that like button, but make sure that it goes all the way. And gracias to my mods. Yeah, but I just think people react to different names. People have judgments of different names. People say names differently. If you experience, and people who have unique names or complicated names or names that are a unique spelling of a name or have variants of itself, like Lauren has, you can spell it with an O and an E, and those are the only vowels. You also have with people who spell it with a Y. And as a result, people, there are moments around the name. It's not that deep. But for people who have maybe more complicated names, or in a culture or a country where their name is it's not the norm, whatever, the established bell curve norm, what is it, 92% norm, then yeah, then you experience like this constant like halt around your name. And I do think that that has an effect on people. But I mean, at the same time, to give a full consideration to Lorna's point, regarding like your life experiences, there are so many things that make up a person besides the like the name label. It's your family, it's your upbringing, it's your likes, your dislikes, your like sensitivities, tendencies, insensitivities, all that stuff that make you kind of who you are. And then, like, again, if we're thinking about all of that affecting your memories or your experiences, then it affects your memories. And people who lose amnesia or have amnesia lose, a good chunk of their identity. So I do think there's a massive point there. Again, forgive me in advance if I say your name incorrectly. I think it's Miley Yolanda SB. I'm not sure. But you were saying hello to everyone. So, hey. So yeah, you're asking how does this work? I'm just asking philosophical questions. So basically, I ask a question, and you just decide if you have an opinion on it. And there's really no right or wrong. Uh, this is just a neighborhood hangout. It is the chillest neighborhood hangout because it's a late start. I'm not trying to go crazy, and I think neither are you. So just answer what you think. And given that you are in some ways a prime example of, oh, you said yes, it's correct. That's awesome. Glad to have pronounced your name well. So, and hearts back at you. But yeah, so yeah, let's see what the second question is on the list here. Would the world be more peaceful if kids were in charge? Would the world be more peaceful if kids were in charge? Let me see. Just gonna write that in the chats. Would the world... Well, let me copy paste that because ain't nobody has time to write all that. Would the world be more peaceful if kids were in charge? That is the question, y'all. Think of your local young person. Think of anyone you've babysat in the recent. What in the world does this thing want? Sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Undo that because that's insanity. And go back to this. What would the world be like if kids were in charge? I know some young people, and I've been around people when they're young, as I assume most of humanity has. And I've got some thoughts on that. But I'm gonna let everyone get a chance to kind of talk and think about it. Lorna, I do see, I do see your comment, and we will address it as I give everyone a quick break and enjoy this lemonade. All right. So, okay, we're gonna go in order here. You say, Lorna said, no, it would be more peace. There would be more peace if women were in charge. Lorna, I must ask you, have you ever been in as a woman, you've definitely, I'm sure, been in spaces where you were the only woman. Have you ever been in spaces where there were no men, as far as like institutions or schools or, when I say institutions, I don't mean institutionalized. I mean like organizations, a job or a volunteer thing or some kind of like thing, right? Um, and for men and people who identify otherwise, have you been anywhere or ever experienced a place where it's been only one gender and it's the one you identify with? Because I feel like that, I just want to know. But yeah, Lorna, why do you think it would be more peaceful if women were in charge? And also, do you mean in charge entirely, or just in charge as in like to a degree that is like everyone's on par, equity? Or do you mean the way that men are in charge right now as a majority, but swap it, make it women? And these are your thoughts. I have no judgment of it. We all know the channel rules. It's like, everyone be respectful and don't say anything weird, because then I will have to block y'all. But Lorna, I'm not worried about that with you. Not worried about that. Yeah. But that's a good point. I just want to hear your other thoughts first before I respond to that. And Miley, you gave a really nice comment really quick, so I just wanted to. You said you loved the song. I'm sure StreamYard thanks you very much. So I'm glad you I'm glad you liked it. That's great. And Jason and Gina, why does that make me want to sip my lemonade? Hold on. Okay. Hold on. I didn't intend to laugh. That's not funny, but it is. Oh, another bit of surprise laughter that I just. Okay. Um, your comment, Jason and Gina. Your comment is absolutely not. But you wrote like with an exclamation point. Absolutely not. It's probably more accurate. You said, I worked for the New York City Department of, I'm assuming it's education and not energy, Department of Education for over 15 years. These kids are different. Okay, so now I have a question on that as well. You know, I'm always having questions on questions, and it's because like I don't want to respond. It don't matter. You know how we are with the conversation. So anyway, also y'all don't forget. Usually my moderators have channels, so do feel free to check them out. When you are watching this, after you've watched this, go and check out Jason and Gina. They have an amazing channel, and they honestly, they take you into all kinds of experiences. So you're bound to find something you like. And I like channels like that where you get some variety. Yeah, so do you have a specific story or experience that makes you go, kids would not be the right people? Like, and again, without like, this is not to, I think, bash or, as Jamaicans say, badmouth anybody. This is more like, are there things you wish you could change or experience differently? That why like what makes you say kids are different? I hear you. And let's see as well. Oh, Miley, you say the music is relaxing. Awesome. And I'm glad because you will be hearing it. This is the neighborhood hangout and chat. So relaxing is the goal. Even though I give you like random philosophical questions that hopefully don't stress you. Ingrid Soares, hello. You say hello, official Lauren Brown. Kind regards from the Netherlands. What? Hi. How are you? How's the weather? And has it rained recently? Also, if I may ask, and without getting too specific, where along the, like in relation to the capital, how far are you? Just curious. You don't have to answer if that's too close or for security reasons. I'm just curious. But hello, Ingrid, and welcome. Thank you for joining the chat. So, all right. Let's see, Lorna. So yeah, you say you have, and this is in response to when I asked the larger philosophical question here, which is, would the world be better run if it were run by children? And you said it'd be better run if it was run by women. I asked, hey, okay, so have you been in institutions run by or majority women? And here's your response. So Lorna, you said, yes, the Girl Scouts, but I think women make better leaders. They are more practical. They are better at compromise, and their negotiation skills are better. And, I think you make an excellent point. And I think there are many reasons why women are better negotiators. And I think it's a thing that even men have a hard time understanding. Generally, and when I say men, I don't mean every single man. Like, come on, we know nuance is a thing, right? But very often we, from the age, as girls, are asked to negotiate everything. Who we are, what we like, what activities we're going to do, because, maybe there's maybe if you have a multi-sibling household, your other siblings want something. If you are an older sister, you might be parentified and forced to kind of take care of people. So women are often forced to consider not just their own needs, but everyone else, and sometimes at the detriment of themselves or to the detriment of themselves. But what it does is it gives you a lot of practice advocating for so many, and, as well, putting out there what makes sense and what doesn't. And very often, because women are nearly always expected to justify their demands incorrectly and unfairly, but that's often expected of women. We become really, really good at uh, anticipating counter arguments, to the point where I think most people, if they get into an argument with someone who identifies as a woman and is, uh, you know, like actually knows them well enough to have some need to negotiate, compromise, or debate or whatever, you find out, like, yeah, the point is brought up because it's not a lie, or it matters, or it's needed, or it's whatever. And then from there, women are just kind of, with all things, as you live longer, you experience more. And so your skills improve. And also, because so often we're asked to walk the tightrope, sorry, y'all, it's like way too, all right, there we go. Because we are, expected, thank you, Lorna, for your comment. Because we are expected to capitulate and make everyone comfortable, and not say, hey, I deserve what I've asked for. There is a stronger, women have often had to have a stronger ability to sustain and maintain and continue and endure and persist, where men will empathize with each other and say, hey, look, I got a family, or I have a this, or I have a that. Therefore, you give me here, I give you there, and let's find what works. Not saying that there aren't sharks on all sides, but when women show up to the table, because we're supposed to just like be okay with less according to what some larger society says, often there is the, okay, I've got to prepare for the blowback when they realize I'm not a lamb. There's also and then I have to figure out how to make them comfortable when they realize what they realize, so they can go through that, have those feelings, and then we can still continue without losing the negotiation. So we're often asked from an early age to become diplomats. And so that's why I think in general women are, Lorna, and I would agree with you, better leaders. Now, and it's shown statistically, like Fortune 500 companies that are run by women are more successful. You throw in a little extra diversity in there in some other way, and it's like, oh, you mean the person who's never been able to half behind the situation? Oh yeah, they're gonna bring 155%, even when it only requires 80, because their normal is 200%. So that's my soapbox. But thank you for putting me on it, Lorna. But yeah. Okay, so but Jason, so your response was to that question, if I still worked in the school system, I would be in jail. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So Jason, okay, I'm going to qualify this for people who haven't like met you in person, because your comments, and also I admit, I don't know every side of you. We all only know what we've seen of people, right? Like, But like Jason is real calm, y'all, and he's very chill. Like as a personality, like Jason is not the type of person. And Jason, correct me if I'm getting you incorrectly, okay? But he's not generally from my experience with him somebody who is like going to start something for no reason, like in that kind of like reckless. He'll work with you, you know, like if you got sense, he'll work with you. And so if he's saying he would be in jail, then I am gathering, I'm inferring this is not something he has said, and I also don't have like I said, the specifics on this, that yeah, there's a lot of like unmet needs that turn into young people perhaps a little directionless, or a little bolder than they used to be. And so they'll say exactly where things can go without sunlight access. And they might fully exit the premises if they feel that it's not serving them. It's like high boundaries and strong sense of what makes sense for them, but without any of the maturation that comes with like time, age, and like literally the maturity cycle of the mind. That is me trying to like dress up the "I would be in jail" statement, because you know, I don't think, I really don't think you would be. I think you have too much darn sense, and far too many skills to get yourself just from some stressful young people who might not have the proper guidance, get yourself in trouble. But maybe I don't know you like that. um, but you know, thank you so much for your perspective on it. Yeah, okay, and you give me some more perspective. Here we go. So you say gang interactions, violence, drug use, lack of parental interaction. So parental interaction or intervention, or both. Like no guidance, or like no intervention. Like if they're doing something wrong, the parents like, I can't deal with it. Or like, yeah, they're right. Like, is it that? I've heard, like, you know, you're not the only person that I've heard discussing just how much need there is in the New York's public school system. Like the Department of Education is, y'all do your best, you know. But there's just such a massive population, and there's so much need, and I can only imagine, given the last few years and the global experiences we've had, how that might have affected things. Um, so Gina Young, hello. You say hello from Los Angeles. Hello. Hey, hey. Glad to have you here. Be sure to like, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on your notifications, etc., etc. All right, next philosophical question, and I will paste it into the chat if I can figure out how to be a normal person on this device. Ooh. Oh, y'all, this is an interesting one. I'm curious what the responses will be. I'm going to paste it in the chat. And I'm going to tell you what it is. Okay. What does happiness feel like in your mind and body? This one, I imagine, yeah, you're going to need a little moment to think about it, maybe to feel it, yeah, what is it? Yeah, okay, so y'all go ahead and The question is on screen, so if you're not sure what it was, yeah, it's also in the comments. Okay. Y'all, Jason and Gina and Lorna are y'all are I'm so glad to see the bonding over your experiences. And any laughter you feel, please remember this when you are able to answer what happiness feels like in the mind and body. But this part where you said, Jason and Gina say, Lorna, I think we had the same kids, is hilarious. All right, so I'm putting the question back up in as a comment on the screen. Oh, okay, Lorna, you have given a beautifully, you always got a beautifully elaborated response, so thank you. Lorna Williams says, happiness is a calm where you have no job or family obligations to attend to. A long weekend brings me happiness. My mind is totally free of my weekday chore list, and I can relax. Yeah. First of all, wait a second. How do you find that happiness though when you're in the middle of you've got work and you've got all this other stuff? Is it then always dependent on time off? Or do you have happiness as this is how it feels? You're describing a situation, but that feeling can occur in any situation. You think of this kind of happiness, but maybe you're in the middle of a busy intersection somewhere trying to go to get something printed. Yeah, I'm curious. So Lorna, how does this definition of happiness actually play for for you? Is it this is the only happy situation, or is it more happiness is the way this feels at all kinds of times? Thank you for your response, and I look forward. I'm curious, and I look forward to it. Sharon Augustine, hello, hey, glad to have you. Welcome. The question that we're asking is here on the screen right now. What does happiness feel like in your mind and body? And I realized I did not answer for y'all the last question, so I will say what my thoughts are, and yeah, you can answer as best you can about this mind and body situation. As far as if kids around the world, do I think the world would be a better place? No. And honestly, not because of what Jason and Gina and Lorna have commented, but I look at it like this. Leaders need to be level-headed and able to maintain a clear mind. And clear mind doesn't mean empty, obviously, but it does mean able to take in information and make sensible decisions. And I think when you're young, your emotions are, and not for any reason that is abnormal. I just think kids are like this. Your emotions play such a big part of everything that it's, I think, much harder to have the global perspective, whether it's literally global or if it's just the bigger perspective of what's going on. And if you can't hold those pictures in your mind, or that map or whatever, but that schema in your mind, it can be really hard to then make a choice that's not purely like reactive. And, being able to have a larger schema in your mind for like what's necessary or what's an appropriate scale of response given, whatever is happening environmentally, like those things are those things are the corner. I think they're like the cornerstone of like good leadership and functional leadership. And I just don't think young people have that yet, nor should they be expected to. I think the pressure that many young people feel to have the answers is partially why we get that bluster. Also just hormones and a complete lack of like full development, right? Just mentally, the normal cycles of development for the mind. But like, they don't have that. And, a rare few are quite mature, but even they, there might be maturity as far as good decision making, but maybe emotional, not reactivity, but like emotional, the ability to not have someone else's reaction influence your own reaction or behavior. I don't know that there's any young person who is really impervious to that, sub 24. And generally, again, yeah, there are outliers, but even outliers, they're human. So those laws, I think, apply, those kind of uniquenesses. And Jason and Gina, you said when I described you, your perception of Jason is 100% correct. Now, I don't know if that's Jason or Gina, but that sounded like Gina was saying that. But if Jason, you're referring to yourself in the third person, that's hilarious. Okay, so let's see. All right, so Lorna, you responded to my question earlier for some clarity or elaboration on your response. What does happiness feel like in the mind and body? And you say, if you have a stressful job, you have to find something that brings you joy and allows you to relax, maybe a book or a travel show that takes you to a different place. Yeah. I mean, but I think that's about coping mechanisms. I think that's about escape mechanisms, but, feeling in the body. And I think it's really interesting that I like the answers you're giving, but I also find it really interesting, and you're not alone in this. Many people are similar. When we talk about feelings, we so often talk about actions as opposed to actual feelings, sensations, if it's like a pressure, or a heat, or a tickling, or a whatever, right? Like, and again, y'all, be normal about the phrase tickling, okay? Like, normal about it. But yeah. Hi, Lorna Murray. I just think it's so interesting that so often when we're asked to talk about feelings, we talk about actions. And I think it's because we've all been raised to some extent, culturally, globally, everybody's a little different. So please, brick of salt, grain of salt, relatively. And Lorna, thank you for your extremely, not just cogent, but like relevant response. But we've all been raised to, I think, figure out like, how can I externally feel happiness or engender happiness? But there are sensations that go along with happiness. For me, I'll describe it, and maybe this can, inform someone else. And maybe I'm full of hot air. So, brick of salt, y'all. This is just what I got. That's not a rule. But yeah, I look, and also I know I'm out of focus. We're just gonna keep it like what it is. I don't. To me, happiness feels like, and you did mention this a little bit in your initial response, Lorna, so credit there. That you say calm, and I think there's a strong component of that there. I also think that there is a lightness. You feel lighter. Like if you put pressure down on your shoulders and then you kind of release that, and there's just a lightness. I think happiness has an element of that. It also has a giddiness, like there's something that's bubbling up, and almost kind of inevitable effervescence, a like blossoming, popping, bubbling, float feeling. I think usually you feel, what do they say, like when you have the wind at your back or wind in your sails, right? I think it's a feeling of win, whether it's like that you actually won or not, but it's like you feel the reward, like ooh, yeah, like almost like an icy hot commercial, but with not icy hot. What is the icebreakers gum commercial, but without all the like of it all. Yeah, I think happiness feels like goo, like a squishy sweetness on the inside that warms you as well. That's what I think it feels like. But I think there's different kinds of happiness. And I think the one that comes with calm is also like contentedness. I think it is a peacefulness for sure. I think peacefulness is the kind of happiness that is very not easily disturbed. So thank you so much. And of course, Jason and Gina, moderators to the max, reminding everyone, thumbs up, like the video. And for all of you watching in future, please do like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. Because, awesome people got to stick together. Thank you. Thank you to my mods, always. All right, next question, and I'm going to paste it in the chat. Ooh. I think there might be some interesting answers to this question. I am genuinely curious. When am I not? Have I ever been disingenuously curious? Nah, not really. Because by the time I ask the question, I'm invested. I'm like, well, I put the effort in to ask it, even if I didn't care initially. So now that I've asked it, I care. Because it took something out of me. So I might as well get the answer. But no, generally, I am actually genuinely curious. And the question is, can one person really change the world? Everybody wants to change the world. Yeah. So let us know. What do you think? Can one person change the world? I feel like this is the kind of question that, like, you can either get really political with it or you can get really, like, poetic. And I'm open to either version. Y'all, I keep pressing and not pressing this button. Oh my goodness. But anyway, the point is, this question can be either really political or really poetic. So let it fly, but keep it fly. All right. Okay. All right. My awesome regulars, who are by no means regular, instead, you are in fact superstellar, have given some good thought to this. All right. Again, the question is, can one person really change the world? Can one person really change the world? All right, Lorna, let's see what your brilliant mind came up with. All right. I feel like you're my Vanna White, and I love it. Um, all right, you say once you figure out that the world is about chasing the almighty dollar for happiness, you have to figure out how much you want to be on that Ferris wheel. I know of extremely rich people who are miserable. Oh, that point has layers. That point has layers. Um, you are, I think you are right. For many people, it's, again, the question was, can one person really change the world? Um, that is, I think your response is to the previous one. What does happiness feel like? I'm not sure, but this is a parlor hangout neighborhood chat. Like, there are no real, there's no real structure. There's conversation, and your point's so good. We still gonna talk about it. So, yeah, I think there is, in fact, and absolutely you have to know what you value in life and know how to commit to what you value. And know what you sacrifice for what you value. Opportunity cost is literally an economic principle, but it's also a life principle. It's a life variable, I guess, a factor. And every choice you make has an opportunity cost, a thing you don't get to do because you made the choice of what you would do. And yeah, so if you don't stop and fully evaluate each thing that is like each option, each direction, then you can find yourself, oops, I chased one thing so hard that I didn't fill out any of the other parts that mean something to me. So yeah. Once you figure out that, I don't know if the world is about it, but certainly the world can't run without it. It's become central to so many of our value systems, whether we like, it's how we structure or evaluate who we accept, who we deny, socially, personally, romantically, uh, what's the word, professionally. Sorry, y'all. I couldn't remember professionally. Jesus. All right. And yeah, once you figure out what you value, then you're able to make choices, and still opportunity cost will never feel good, because it's the knowing of what you don't have sometimes that can make it really stand out to you. And so I think the thing that becoming an embodied human, like a full, true adult, is understanding what you stand on and what you're willing to sacrifice for, and also what costs you're willing to pay. And I think some of the happiest people are also people who sometimes pay the highest cost, because they know they're operating in, and not to quote a Jay Shetty podcast, but I'm sure a number of you listen to him too. And if you don't, go do that because he good too. Um, Living in your purpose does give you a lot of fulfillment, but we're human and you have to remember that you're human. And so if your purpose involves a lot of capital oriented, I mean, capital, not like big C, little c capital, um, unless you're talking dollars and cents. But yeah, it's, there are personal things that every human needs. Loud motorcycle. Every human needs to feel good. Okay, let's see. Thank you, Lorna, for inciting that response. John Jenkins, hello, hello, hello to you. Welcome, hello. Happiness for you is, you're saying happiest for you, so I guess you're at your happiest. And is this the same as you being happy? Um, and I did not forget the other question. So happiness, happiest. Sorry, for John Jenkins is when they say, I can grab a moment to listen to Selwa Jacqueline Dupré or John Coltrane because I have synesthesia. I see, I hear music in various colors. That's my happy place. John Jenkins, synesthesia is super cool. Yeah, it's super cool. You, Pharrell, and a number of other people who are usually very musically inclined have that. And I think it's cool how the brain wired things sometimes for people. And so the experience ends up being quite, yeah, for you, music would be both auditory and a visual sensory experience. And I'm going to say congrats on that. Um, uh, and I wonder, does anyone else who is watching have synesthesia? I find it a fascinating topic. And I know there was a moment where it was really brought up a lot, I think, when it came to the fore. And I think it might have been 2000. I was in AP biology in high school I was in regular chem. No, I think I was in AP biology. So I think I was in the 11th grade. So that was like 2006, 5, 7, one of those. When like I first learned about synesthesia in like detail. And it's very cool. I know my dad has a small part of it, but it's not for music. Sorry, Dad, I just put you on blast there. I don't know if that was something you want people to know. It's not an illness. It's just a cool thing that your brain does. But it's for like something. It's unique. It's different people have it for different things. Some people have, or certain sensations will make them see certain colors or like temperatures. Or people have ones that deal with like graphic and like letters and numbers, where they have identities almost. Again, somebody decided their muffler does not matter. Anyway, yeah, and very, very cool. So thank you for that tangent. I I have a small amount of it, but it's not for music. So color me friendly jealous, not like jealous. Like, what is it? Like envious, but like not actually envious. I wish you to have it and enjoy it. I just think it's really cool. And so I'll just have to live through visualizers and imagine what your experience is like. So thank you for sharing that with us, John Jenkins. And I'm glad to know you have a happy place. But yeah, I have mine is for numbers and letters, which is too weird to like enumerate here, but I'm sure someone will figure that out. Okay, y'all, what was the question we were on? Okay. Uh, okay. What was the question? Okay, the question was, can one person really change the world? And Lorna, ever the A+ student. This is not me teaching you. This is not a lecture. You're just an A+ person. You said, yes, Gandhi did it, and MLK studied and followed his example. And some people would say the same for Nelson Mandela. And some people would say the same for, oh man, who am I thinking of? Y'all know when you blank right as you have to say the name? It will not be a 3 a.m. wake up. Someone who changed the world. But I agree with you. These people, via their examples, change the world. I also think Winston Churchill. And you know what's hilarious about all of that? Every single one of these individuals was massively flawed. And I'm not here to like judge, and I'm not here to go into what was flawed about them, because frankly, we could be here all day, all night, and we're not going to do that. So, but I think when we think of change the world, it's like, what does that mean, right? What does that mean? I just want to also bring up that Lorna, you said you don't have it, but you agree with its John Jenkins comment. But yeah, what does it mean to change the world, I think, is the question. And I think oftentimes we have both a comic book style version and then we have reality. And the comic book style version is like, all around the world, everyone knows that you did this thing and it was massive and important and impactful. And, it became, now this is the way things work. And we like to kind of look at it from like a heroes versus villains versus whatever. But there's also the changing of the world, which is the ripple effect, where one person makes a decision or does something, and then there's this cascade outward. And sometimes that's not, like a Rosa Parks or Claudette Colbert. I think it's Colbert. I can't remember. Claudette Colbert. I can't remember her name exactly, the last name. But, I count both women because one was for marketing and one was the inspiration. And you sometimes need both because different people can accept different things at certain times. That doesn't make discrimination, okay, y'all? Please know that I understand nuance. But sometimes the messenger makes a difference. But anyway, even if it shouldn't in a perfect world. But yeah, I think plenty of people change the world on a daily basis because, again, I think back to the Mr. Rogers documentary, and one of the questions that it asked was, did he accomplish what he set out to do, which was change the way that media presents itself, and specifically to children, and creating in influencing children? Do you create a better society? Like by positively influencing them, do you create a better society? That was his mission. And I may be muddling it, and to his family and loved ones, should they see this somehow, the intention is not to do that. But I think even the documentary misunderstood that question. It isn't about, you don't change the world because you can and you can't. It's not solely that you change the world because you made one choice or you did some big action and it was felt around the world, like dropping a bomb or like, saying, yes, we will start a war. Those things change the world profoundly. But there are other subtle things, such as being, again, like Claudette to then Rosa, being the spark that lights a fire where people then go, we can stand up for something that is right. Let's do it this way. Now again, there's things with credit and all that stuff. Just putting that aside for the simplicity's sake of the point. Mr. Rogers, I believe, actually did change the world because there are people who are profoundly impacted by his. Thank you, Sharon Augustine, for reminding everyone. But Mr. Rogers did so many so many young people who didn't know what it was to be validated heard what that sounded like through him. And so there are small conversations and big conversations that have happened since then in thousands and millions when you project out exponentially, um, of people who have heard something that they would never have heard without him, you know, putting the feet in that kiddie pool with the gentleman who played the police officer on the show, and the way that changed people. Um, you really only need a few people to make a big difference, and you need to affect a few people to make a big difference, because a person inspired and backed by passion or a need will move mountains to get the need met. That's human nature. So if you can have that kind of impact on someone, you can change the world. It's knowing how to wield that impact and hopefully doing it for the right things and the right intention. But people change the world all the time. They change it for the better, they change it for the worse. And then some people have the opportunity and choose not to, or don't even recognize the opportunity and miss it completely. And, in examples like Lorna's, where you have gentlemen like MLK or Gandhi, or again, you name it, they choose to make actions that were the big splash. But I actually think one person can change the world just by changing the energy in a room, and that inspires someone else to be like, I like this feeling, or I don't like this feeling. If you've ever had like a boss that wasn't right, or you've ever been like bullied or made to feel small or belittled, or if you've ever been made to feel amazing and you're like, either I want to experience this again or give this experience to someone else, or I never want to experience this or share this experience with someone else. You've profoundly changed how you approach life, and thus everyone you interact with is experiencing that profound change. And you never know what position they're in. You never know who they are, what they can do, can't do, what they can intervene, where they can intervene. So yeah, one person can change the world, and I do think individuals do it every day. And I mean, you can look at negative examples. The Berlin Conference was a handful of people who made a big decision that has affected the world to this day. And again, you can look at people who said, yeah, I spent 26 years in a prison unjustly under apartheid, and I might have the year number wrong, but I'm Nelson Mandela, and we're going to have truth and reconciliation, and Desmond Tutu's going to be out here. You know what I mean? So that was an example, and that's an example to many people who are deeply inspired. So to philosophize a little less, I think, yeah, one person can, and many people do. And I want to say hello. So Vonzola Adams, hello to you. You greeted everyone. Welcome, and thank you for your greeting. All right, cool. So I'm going to bring up one more question. And was there anything else that no? Okay, so yeah, I'm going to bring up one more question and give you all a little time to think about it while I also think about it, but mostly while I drink my lemonade and then remember to think about it after. um, and there's a few questions here, so let me look. I'm going to take some time. And hold on one second, you all. Hold on one second. Hold on. Okay. All right. So let's see. Oh, I like this. I like this. I think this is solution oriented. Ah. Hopefully it is. Hopefully it is. Um, okay. All right. One more time. I'm gonna put this Garf Adventure. I see you. Welcome. Thank you. Remember to put a like in the on the channel and make sure it sticks. All right, so I'm gonna comment it and then you'll see it on screen, y'all. All right. So the question is, how can humans improve the world in the next 5 years? How? How can humans improve the world? You picked the scope or what you'd like to see improved, and how can you? Try and I think give one to three. Give 2 to 3. Give 2 to 3. Just so that we have something to chit chat. But yeah, how can humans improve the world in the next 5 years? All right, think about it. Okay. So, y'all. I mean, I know it's a deep one, so I'm gonna go first. And which I imagine a number of you are like, yeah, what's she gonna say? That's what we want to know. So, yeah, I'll go first, and hopefully that inspires you because every single one of us can do something to improve the world in the next 6 months, let alone the next 5 years, right? So, um, what do I, Lauren, think humans can do to improve the world in the next 5 years? Well, I think that we can more heavily invest in using finding ways to compress. Man, that's an investment solution. Let me see if I can. What's a human level thing? Um, I'll say it. Um, I would say no. I'll do human level first. I think finding ways as people to focus less on what we think the other person is getting out of something and more on what collaboration brings everybody. I think as a humanity, like, and I really mean on a large scale, I don't mean specific individuals because I just think humans are like this. But when we have a handle on our looking over someone else's fence and thinking they should or shouldn't have, and instead focus on our own yards, And I don't mean focus on our own yards in the sense of like, I ignore everyone else. I don't care if someone else is in harm. But instead, we say, how can I build myself to be the best contributor to a world that I want to see? I think we do two things. We unburden everyone else with making us happy or making us, you know, falling in line with some kind of authoritarian style of like, I think this is good, because that's not human freedom. That's not normal or healthy. No one's going to enjoy anyone imposing that on them. Um, so if we can focus on being our own best selves, that's going to improve the world in the next 5 years. And how we can use that best self to support the larger global needs, like, environmentalism, specifically, um, you know, the ways that impacts different groups, different geographic regions, and the people in them. I think focusing on that, on the environment, um, and I think that is a way to improve the world, literally, like the geography, the wildlife, and the other animals, humans, that, yeah, we might have sentience, but we're still just as much connected to this planet as everybody else. And by everybody, I mean as every other creature on it. So if we can focus on that. And lastly, I'll say, just for brevity, also, if we can accept in ourselves and therefore stop expecting a certain thing in someone else. So if we can accept in ourselves that we're all hypocrites, every single one of us, we have ideals that we do not meet. We have things that we know should be done and that we believe people should do. And if we did them, then we would all be better. Everyone should stop eating meat. Everyone should stop trying to do this. Everyone should. Look, yes, those are real. And this, especially things like climate change, they're real. And beyond that, they're potentially dire, right? Again, I'm being cavalier just for the sake of not making this miserable, not because I don't see the truth of it. But I think there's if we understand we're hypocritical, inevitably, all of us, then I think we also come into conversations about change and the things we need, and advocating for them, and making our demands, whether it's of organizations or nations or of people or our friends or our family, with a bit more of a listening ear and the empathy necessary for actual forward movement via initial compromise until people start to habituate. Yes, I know I'm using words, but I gotta habituate and start going, yeah, I'm willing to commit a little bit more to this improvement. Yeah, okay, not eating meat on a Friday is one thing. I don't really miss it. This, whatever substitute is great. I might be able to do this more. I might be able to demand a bit fewer cows and support a little less of the mass methane production from vast fields of cows. But maybe also I know, as a hypocrite, that I value having money, and so those farmers who are raising those cows, and that's all they have to feed their families. Maybe I understand that they also need something that's going to help them feed their families, and I value how important that is to them. So I come up with a better solution to make that transition something they can actually handle, something they can accept with dignity that improves their life. So I just think accepting our hypocritical nature, that's human, and then letting it give us the humility to properly come to the table and understand that everyone's going to feel a bite and not get what they want. but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't give or that you shouldn't be open to being the one to compromise first, because sometimes you actually win more because the thing you get is highly valuable. So that's my weirdly deep, but it's a philosophical question, so it's accurate and appropriate. That's my thought on how humans can improve the world. And, knowing human nature, if you make a lot of things an economic incentive, for real, and for the good, yeah. All right, let me see what your comments are. What is your response to how can humans improve the world in the next 5 years? And this is our final question. So do make sure you pop in with your comments, your thoughts, your last words, because I'm not keeping y'all. I'm not trying to keep y'all like till 11:30. All right, let's see. Oh, I want a little bit more grooviness in the background. Let's see if it'll go. Can y'all hear it? I can't hear it. Now I can. Okay, John Jenkins, you have a strong opinion here. All right. So you say, and again, the question is, Rohini, the question is, how can humans improve the world in the next 5 years? I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Hopefully my gulps weren't like mad loud, but if they were, apologies. Okay. So you say, John Jenkins, you say, there should never be a trade-off. I don't know if it's via, like versus technology or artificial intelligence losing our planet. This third rock from the sun is all Homo sapiens have to sustain our humanity. Yes, save our planet. I think the core of your point is about saving the planet, and that it should be a general value because it's generally understood that saving needs to be what's happening. And I think there's a lot of people, and a lot more people, who agree with that point than you might even believe. And artificial intelligence is not the thing that invented the issues we're having environmentally. And I hope that it's understood how diverse tech is. But it can, in fact, be a part of the solution. And that's one of the wonderful things, because the ocean is a lot of square mileage, hectares. And so anything that can help crunch that to help figure out solutions, or at least operate things that literally are on too large a scale, as in they might be the size of a tectonic plate, as there are some concept ocean cleaners and things like that are massive. AI can help make some of those things real, depending on how you define AI and, what model you want to use. Let's say that. So, yeah, if I understand your comment correctly, that, we should sustain humanity and our planet. Yeah. Further up, I believe there was a response to that question. And it's from Lorna. Hey, you say, by cleaning up the garbage in the oceans, by restoring the Amazon rainforest, which controls our climate, and by being more empathetic to refugees and not judging people by race, sex, or religion. Aw. What a humanitarian bunch, which doesn't surprise me because, again, most of us come from being very interested in humanitarianism, advocacy. I don't say activism just because, many people are professionals and have other things going on, but certainly advocating for things that should be happening in this world for the better. So thank you, Lorna. Great comment. Okay. Final responses. Rohini, do you have a response? I don't want to miss anybody. I don't know. Did I put you on screen? Hey. Also, for anyone who is following the saga of the package and did it arrive? Yeah. Yes, it did, and it's really cute. And Rohini, don't worry, you'll get your picture. You'll get the, but it's gonna be right. Okay. I have. Don't worry. Standards and excellence. All right, let's move on. Thank you, Jason, for reminding. Kindly hit the like button and the subscribe button. If you are watching this in the post live, thank you for joining. Sharon Augustine, and is it Augustine or Augustine? Is thanking the mods, and I agree, absolutely. Rohini, your response. I think social media should be shut off for 2 days a week, just like TV used to sign off. Yeah, that's an interesting concept. I think you'd have a lot of people who, like small businesses who use it, who would say, look, but on those 2 days, I suffer more than the big guy. So who should, maybe it's certain people that should take off. And, again, that's my brain going into the business side of things as far as and maybe perhaps not even the business, but maybe that's slightly, it's a little bit of both, politicking and business, frankly. But I do think what you're advocating for, which is this kind of almost forced experience of being present and in reality in a way from a virtual feed, can be healthy. And, I think let me tell you something, just on this front. It's a tangent, but I think it's something that I experienced that I realize helped me a lot. And I think it's helpful to anyone who gets a similar experience. And that is that growing up in school, and again, this was a unique-ish experience because I know that they have done this. They do this in many other schools. But because, social media, the advent of all that stuff, millennials, young millennials, that was kind of, there had been some issues with an institution, a place, an organization that I was connected to as a child. Nothing dire, please, guys. Just keep it chill. Like a 1 on a 10 scale, like not dramatic. But I think wonderfully responsible adults were like, hey, listen, these kids are now in the World Wide Web. And I say that not because I'm dismissing if anyone was uncomfortable, but because I don't need to cause, it ain't drama like that, but responsible adults said, look, these kids need to understand what the internet is beyond just a place to socialize, that it's permanent, that there is, and obviously that didn't mean that we were all perfect on the internet. And, we all grow and we are not who we were as even 5 years ago on the internet. So, those caveats need to be said so that people don't think now she said this, she learned this, she should have done this when she was 16 or 20. No, I'm not who I was 2 years ago. I might disown everything I ever put out in the past. I try to be authentic, So anyway, I think it was the FBI, one of their branches or something, a 1 or 2. Clearly they do this, but they gave a presentation that was talking, I think it was the FBI. They had somebody there. It was a slightly connected situation as far as people having the ability to think, to reach out and do this. But they talked to us about how things work, how what you put out can stay, how, everyone isn't a good actor, as in like somebody who means you well. And this was maybe when I was in like the 6th or 7th grade, very young. And at the age where you're impressionable and you're also clueless and you have enough sense to type things and do things or go places and be like, I don't know how I got myself here. I don't even know what this is. And I think that's something that's needed again today, but in earnest and as a requirement, where people with an authority and a background in cybersecurity and in just general intelligence. I don't necessarily mean like they need to have been stationed in blah, 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 blah. I just mean people who know truly the impact that the internet and its words and images, and beyond that, more specifically, that platforms, both new and old, have on the psyche. Going and talking to kids, like, yeah, it's okay to wag the finger at the companies, but while the drama is happening, somebody has to actually address the people who are still living in the situation. And I don't know of like a thing where this is happening nationally across nations, or internationally. I know of it as something that some schools might go, oh, we need this. We know that there's cyberbullying or there's whatever going on online. We need to connect our kids to some information. But you bring up a great point, Rohini. Social media being off for 2 days, I think it would help. But people need to understand what they're experiencing on social media. Just as people, anytime you're in a new situation, having knowledge about like what's real, what's not, what can be harmful, what won't, gives you the opportunity to make informed decisions. And I remember one of the things that we learned as well was like vetting authentic sources of information and how you follow a trail. And look, everyone now is a super sleuth because of social, but that's not what I mean. I'm talking about news, articles, figuring out what the bias of a site is, whether it's a news site or it's an opinion as news site. That was actually something that we learned. I know it stuck with me. I don't know if my classmates or schoolmates or friends or, age peers or whatever who experienced that program or that, not program, but that, those like, it was like a larger thing. It wasn't one day. It was a series. I don't know how much everyone, remembered from that, but that definitely impacted me. But it also might have been from my own upbringing and awareness. So I don't know. But I think if we instituted that kind of understanding in schools as just like a class, I think we'd find kids are far more willing to listen when they know that what you're doing is in their best interest or saying is in their best interest, and it directly affects them like social media does. Yet another soapbox. Thank you, Rohini. Lorna, you say, I am an activist. Greenpeace was founded in, I'm not sure what INCA means, but I feel like you meant to say in California. And so are you in California? If I have that incorrectly, correct me. That's fine. But hey, wait. So were you like having to deal with holding the clip and getting people to sign? And did you have a strategy for that? Because I'm telling you, I remember my university days, people were parked outside of like buildings and offices, and my undergrad days, let me be specific. And the way in which Greenpeace people were, y'all got avoided like the plague, and the only time you weren't, at least in recent, was like if someone was also quite like gung ho. But again, that also could have just been because I was in DC and people had a lot of things they were running to, and definitely internships. And I don't know if you know about them internships, but people take them seriously as they should. Y'all, Rohini will say what she feels. So Rohini, you say a way to make the world better is also seatbelts that don't strangle. Fat is not a slur. It is a literal substance that is in the human body. But it is used sometimes to describe people in a manner that is potentially uncaring. So I say this purely as a quote, and also, again, I'm not saying it as a slur. So, because her point is a big one that is important, and I say that with no irony. So also seatbelts that don't strangle fat people, because I mean, they have self-driving cars. Certainly, they would create one that does not suffocate your breasts. That's the medical term. So I'll use that one, but you said boobs. Yeah, size inclusion is important. And I was on a rant about that the other day to myself, just because I saw something and I was like, that's not inclusion. You just put her in clothes. Like, you didn't give her the same style at all. That's not inclusion. Inclusion is cutting it for her body because her dimensions require different draping. But let's not get on our fashion soapbox, because I can go all night on that. So, Rohini, thank you very much. And given that you do make clothes for people, and you are going to be very aware of people's dimensions, I think you're absolutely right. Yeah. And that's the same thing with airplane seats, and, with how medical professionals speak to and interact with people who they consider to be overweight or fat or large or plus size or whatever the appropriate word is here. And, again, correct me, because no offense meant. But Rohini, also, clearly, we all love the way you tell it like it is. You're a funny one. Always funny. John Jenkins says you're a donor to Greenpeace. Hey, but does being a donor make you an activist, or does it make you a supporter of activists, an ally to activists? It's not like I'm not coming at you. I'm actually just like wondering, is it the same if you eat it with 2 hands or like a fork, like that kind of thing. I am not familiar with Bob Hunter, so I'd have to look him up. But Lorna, you say the late Bob Hunter, one of the founders of Greenpeace, greatly influenced you. Very cool. But do you see that influence made you make a choice? And Greenpeace, you have people donating. Like, one person can do a lot. Don't underestimate your power or your value. Ever. If you take nothing else from this rambling evening, don't underestimate your impact. Ever. Okay? Because people are going to be out here trying to make you think that you're not the value you are. They're wrong. You are all that. All right. Rohini, I know what you mean, Lauren. When I was in secondary school, there was a national campaign called Think Before You Post. It's just that once it's out there, you have no control. Yeah. But it just needs to go deeper now into understanding how algorithms affect the mind, and that you don't need to feel behind. Because I remember I had, and I won't go into detail on this for their own privacy, but I remember, you'll deal with interns who they are dealing with the comparison of where they are to where their peers are. And we all do this. This is a human nature thing. It's not just young people. But so much is made worse or fueled by the fact that you're always looking at the highlight reel, and there has to be a way of like constantly reminding, almost like how I don't know if you've been on the New York City subway, but especially post 2001, there are always signs that said, if you see something, say something. And also there's signs that say like, stand clear of the yellow line, which is just basically the absolute edge of the train platform for safety reasons. But it has become almost like this meme, that not a meme in a negative way, but it's something like everyone's familiar with. And so you can even say it slightly, stand clear of the da da da, or what, mind the gap, or whatever, right? In different countries, you might have different phrasing. But this kind of constant reminder, forgive any background noise, this kind of constant reminder helps to keep people from getting too used to it, getting too used to their environment and just taking everything in without being conscious. And I almost think that like something similar for social media. Now, I don't know if we have the like warning labels like what we have on cigarettes, because I do think, you know, remember how many people have been united over social media. People have found family members, long lost family members, and been able to, uncover, oh, I have this thing I need to test for. I have this particular likelihood of whatever health issue. Or they've been able to discover like, oh, I am this percent this, or they've been able to discover like, oh, I really love this passion and I learned so much and now I'm in this new field and I've now become this and it's become my advocacy or my new career, or I've met the love of my life, right? So much has come from social and from media and the internet that we can't vilify it. We have to understand how to be aware of it. That doesn't take, I'm not taking onus off of any of us who create or are involved, but it's a community. That means everyone is involved. That means everyone shares some part of the responsibility. To expect one institution to get it perfectly, when has that ever happened? Ever? Like genuinely, which government has ever been perfect? Which company has ever been perfect? Which school has ever been perfect? When have you ever been perfect? That's not saying don't expect more or demand more, but I think being realistic and in that every solution needs to be holistic to the degree that each of us can is kind of how you make that happen. But yeah, national campaigns, I think we joke about them. Public service announcement. I know I've like said, oh, thanks for that PSA, but don't sleep on a PSA, man. They work. They work because it's the exposure to something that keeps you aware, and it's the subtlety of the awareness that starts to just become normal. And when it's for something that is healthy, all the better. Lorna Williams says, the world is much smaller than we know. Exactly. And that's why it matters so much. Oh, right. Canada. Right. Got you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the correction. But yeah, I think I'm going to end it here, y'all. This has been wonderful. I'm so happy to see all of you. And I wish everybody a great evening. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and do know that the lives are scheduled. So this one was set to start later, and check the other ones and let me know what things came to your mind for those of you who are watching it in the non-live later upload. See you in the next one, and stay fly, and I don't know, have some soup. Stay hydrated, all that good stuff, Yeah.